Hello and welcome. My name is Errity Green, and this is the Wise Woman Oracle and Tarot. And today I am bringing you a pick a card reading on what surprises people most about you. So this should be a fun and meaningful reading. If you find you enjoy it, I encourage you to like, subscribe, join the community. Do press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new reading pops up. If you want to get to know more about me, my work, personal readings, you can visit the link below or visit erritygreen.com/shop. Last but not least, I'd love to share my other YouTube channels with you, Psychic True Crime and Wise Women Talk. You can find both of those channels linked below. Go ahead and subscribe over there and join those communities. Last but not least, I will be adding a URL to sign up for my newsletter. That way we can stay in touch through and between the videos that I post each week. So sign up for that and I will see you there. Without further delay, I will place a picture up of your 3 card piles to choose from today. Okay, so card pile 1. What surprises people most about you? To me, this feels like what people are impressed by. So maybe that's what this reading turns out to be. We will find out. But what people are impressed by really landed for me. And maybe that surprises people. Maybe they aren't expecting to be so impressed by you. But I feel like they sense a level of mastery and maybe are even intimidated or unsure of themselves around you. Doesn't necessarily make them feel insecure, but they're like, oh, hey, now I didn't know I was quite getting into this. Okay, right? Like they're just really impressed by your, and surprised, but especially impressed by your level of mastery and by who you are, how you carry yourself, your depth of wisdom, your depth of character and integrity, just how you hold yourself. Entering your space is like entering the space of a master, right? Or a sage or a wisdom keeper or medicine carrier or something like that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you physically actively do as much as it is in your energy. And it's just very clear right off the bat. And that's what they are impressed by. So this reading is all about what they're surprised by, but I think that they know that from a mile away. And then when they get up close, they're surprised at how much they are surprised by you, right? Hence the impressiveness, right? Because here's the thing, they are astounded at your level of precision and your ability to create what you create and do what you do, that you can say something, follow through and do it, that what you say, you do, right? And that you say what you mean and you do what you say, right? They are impressed at your ability to pick anything out of a hat, you know, or pick a star or whatever, and you're able to actually create it, achieve it, actualize it. People are incredibly, again, they are surprised by this, but it feels more of impressed because I feel like from far away, they're already aware of this. But once they get up close, they're even more aware and maybe even intimidatingly aware of your impressive abilities, your precision, your mastery, your conquests, all that you've created and achieved. But here's the thing, there's also a level of, yes, integrity and character, but also, there was another word, integrity, character, and let me see if it comes back to me. Authenticity, because it's almost like you don't give no Fs, okay? Because it's almost like, it's not like you're out there just picking dreams out of a hat or picking things out of a hat and or picking up what everyone else has told you to do or said that you should do. It's like you concern yourselves with the things that matter to you, and that's it. Like, for example, the rest of the world might be trying to climb the corporate ladder and become the CEO of a company, and that's their idea of success, and to have all these investments and make all these millions, and that might be the corporate driven or capitalist model for success, traditional success. But for you, you're like, that's not success at all to me. So I'm going to leave that on the table and I'm going to go this way and do it my way. And I'm going to be successful in all the ways that I believe are success and or success to me. And that's what matters most to me. And people are impressed by that because they're like, oh, wow, like they're not falling for any of this other BS. They're not falling for anything that's not true for them. But what they do choose and what they do is what is not only meaningful for them, but they are able to do it, right? They realize that, you know, the person, when we say, what are they most surprised by? What are they most impressed by? They're amazed, you're astounded at your ability to basically do anything that you want and succeed at it, achieve it, actualize it, bring it to fruition, but also that you don't fall for sort of, any of the lore, the myths, the illusions of an American dream, or even the things that could be real, but if they're not important to you, you're not going to pursue them, and you're not just going to do something because everybody else does it. So people are really impressed by that. They are incredibly impressed by your ability to aim high and even aim at all and get it done. So what else is here? Yeah, again, people are very impressed by this is just an affirmation again of what we're already talking about, but not only do you get your eye on the prize, a lot of people have vision, right? They have clear vision. They're a visionary. They're a dreamer, where they know exactly what they want. But what makes you rare and what impresses people most and surprises them most about you is that you will do it. You will put the pedal to the metal. You will put the foot to the pavement. You will actually do it. You're not one of those people who are just going to come up with all these pipe dreams that you don't actually follow through on, nor do you care for a pipe dream. You're only going to choose the things that matter to you, that you actually want to bring forward, and then you're going to. Said and done, baby. Period. Okay? People are impressed by that. People are impressed that not only are you able to do this, but you're able to do it in a way, again, that's like honoring, that's not like the average way, right? The traditional way of maybe doing it the workaholic way, or doing it the way that everybody else does it, or the way that the world tells you to do it. They're impressed that you're able to do it in a way that's true to you, but also get it done, right? So that's really cool. So what surprises people most, or what impresses people, at least for this card pile 1, they sense such a profound, so here's what they think is so interesting, or not counterintuitive, but sort of, and I think this is where maybe the surprise aspect comes in. So you carry this mastery, this sort of wisdom, this elderhood almost, this energy of the great grandfather, the great grandmother, who is the great patriarch or matriarch of the family that everybody can trust, that everyone trusts their word. They know that they can follow them and that they will be safe, that they will be protected, that no harm could come to them. It's like you're one of those people can trust and believe in. Dare I say the word Messiah? Let's not start any cults here, but people certainly trust you. They believe in you. They know that you're going to get it done. They know that you're going to see it all the way through. They know that you can carry it all the way through, and people know that you're not going to break down. People know that you're not going to turn away. People know that you're going to get it done and see it all the way through. So there's some beauty in that, and there's some elderhood energy to that. But the irony of it is they can also see this sort of inner child version of you, where you are a human, right? You're like everybody else. You have your own share of stuff and your own fears and your own doubts and your own worries. And that can be surprising to people, because you have this whole side of you that's totally impressive and totally intimidating and awe-inspiring, and people can't believe it. And it's almost like the closer they get to you, the more intimidating, the more impressive you are. But yet if they keep on going, they go deeper and deeper and deeper, what they find is you're just like everybody else. And of course you would be. You're human, right? You're just like everybody else. Inside you have a wounded inner child, just like everybody, a wonder child, just like everybody, and wonder inner child. You have the same worries, doubts, and fears as everybody else. You're no better, no different. No one is special like you. Even though you exude all of this mystery and mastery and intrigue and power and wisdom, they realize that, oh, wow, they have doubts too, and they have worries too, and they have concerns too, and they don't always believe in themselves. And it's almost like, it's a beautiful thing. They don't see it as, oh, that's a problem, or, oh my gosh, this was, the opposite of what I expected. I was expecting a leader. And, it's more like there's this beautiful paradox or counterintuitiveness about you, where you have this mastery, this mystery, this intrigue, this prowess, and you're human like everybody else, and you have your own share of fears, doubts, worries, insecurities, and concerns. And people almost like that, right? It levels the playing field. They realize that you're human too, that you make mistakes too, that you make errors too, that you have to make judgment calls, and you don't always make the quote unquote right choice or the best choice, that you have moments of freakouts and meltdowns and misery and mess ups and mishaps. Like, you are just like everybody else. And I think that can be surprising to people, because they have this whole idea of you, and your persona precedes you. And yes, it's true. The reputation is true. All of that's accurate. You've done the work. Your soul is very ancient and powerful. And so that is something that will always precede you. People will always pick up on that from a mile away, and yet you are still human. And this levels the playing field and makes you more approachable and makes people more willing to see you as human, recognize you as human, hold you as human, not hold you to a higher standard or a higher standard of perfection where they're always expecting you to be flawless. And then you're not allowed to leave the pedestal. It's like they're able to see, oh my gosh, she has a scared inner child too. Like she's just like everybody else. Wow, isn't that crazy? So that's what surprises people, is that inside you have your own share of fears, doubts, and worries. Inside you have your own wounded inner child and your own inner child. Inside you're just like everybody else, making mistakes, dropping balls, and doing the thing like everybody else. But there's something sweet to that, right? It's not like, oh, I made it all the way and I've connected with this person and now I found out the truth. It's more of like, oh my gosh, thank goodness they have this other side to them to bring about this wholeness, right? To counter it, it's almost like this beautiful paradox of human and spirit, or human and soul, flesh and soul, flesh and spirit, ego and super ego, to be able to see them side by side, living out this great paradox. And it's comforting to people and reassuring to people, and also inspiring to people that they can be both sort of human, we'll say that in quotes, and be someone who makes mistakes and drops balls and doesn't always make the right choice, and can also have this great spiritual prowess and great intrigue and power within themselves too. Let's see if there's anything else that wants to come up here. What surprises people most? Yeah, that you have your handicap, you have your weakness, you have your kryptonite, you have an Achilles heel. People are surprised that you have an Achilles heel. If you don't know what that is and you haven't learned it yet, go ahead and Google that. But what it is about you is how much you impress people. And as they enter your world and enter your life more personally and find that vulnerability basically on the inside, they find that you are vulnerable. They find that you do have heart. She is human. And not that these other aspects don't have heart, but they realize that you are vulnerable, right? You have a heart that bleeds. You have guts. You can be disemboweled like all of us. And people can miss that at first glance and forget that you're human and forget that you have hardship and pain and challenge and woe. And people realize that you too have an Achilles heel. That surprises them. All right, card pile one, if you enjoyed this reading, let me know below, share in the comments. I'd love to see your likes, your subscribes. Go ahead and press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new video pops up. If you want to get to know more about me or get a personal reading or work with me, check out the details below or visit erritygreen.com/shop. And then last but not least, do check out the other YouTube channels, Psychic True Crime, Wise Women Television. Those are also linked below, and sign up for my newsletter. I'd love to stay in touch on the regular. Thank you, card pile one. Okay, so card pile two, what surprises people most about you? So I feel like people may not know that behind closed doors, you might be a different person. Now, I don't think that you're wearing a mask or being inauthentic. I think people are simply surprised by, so someone, as an example, by your spiritual side, being maybe you're a mystic or a witch, and you don't have to identify with those labels clearly, but consider it that vibe and see how it applies to your life. Like, it kind of gives me that energy of someone who goes on play dates, and you don't have to be a middle-aged woman with children either. Okay, so please apply it. I just get the examples and I share them, and you have to apply it to your experience and your circumstances. But I kind of get the energy of someone who goes on play dates and is a soccer mom, but then she goes home and is doing ceremony and ritual, So I get this energy of someone who is deeply spiritual. Again, very much could be a mystic, kind of the energy of a gypsy, or someone who's just totally, just very much connected spiritually. And actually that is more of an influence in their lives than the physical. So the surprising aspect is that while you might be out getting a Starbucks and or going to the work function or doing the things that we all do, kind of going through the motions, it surprises people likely when they come into your house or into your life or your world at a deeper, more personal level. They find that you are a deeply spiritual person. Now, this doesn't mean that all of you are spiritual in the sense that you are engaged in, say, ritual and ceremony and hosting circles and have crystals and crystal healing and all of that. It doesn't have to be what's trendy or what's typical. It could be just the depth of your wisdom. Like, someone would never expect that you have this Pandora's box, right? This treasure box full of all these jewels. People wouldn't know because perhaps you don't show that or demonstrate that easily to everyone in the everyday world. Again, you could be playing the role of, it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you could be a waitress, you could be a therapist, you could be a CEO. And so each of those roles, right, has their own sort of script and role. And so you do that, and yet you go home and there's this whole other side to you. It feels very deep. It feels very, the depth is really profound. And this level of, we'll say, spirituality, but you don't even have to label it that way or define it that way. Perhaps you never have. It might just be a connection that you have to earth, connection that you have to herbs, a connection that you have to crystals, a connection that you have to spirit or your angels or your spirit guides, whatever label, definition, and terms you use. But it is something that surprises people because they don't realize what a quote unquote bright light you are. I mean, of course they do in your work and your everyday things, but they are surprised by how deep this goes, right? And how big of an influence this is. It feels like you are someone who, again, is more occupied, feet on the ground in terms of more in spirit and energy work than you are someone who is actively invested in the physical, right? So you might be someone who tends more to the emotional, right? Even the mental, but the emotional and the spiritual far more than the physical. Like you give credence, you give weight, you give power to the emotional and the spiritual, and that's really where you thrive. That's also where you do your best work. That's also perhaps what your specialty or expertise is. And again, whether people know that and or you use it in your work or not, it's something that's already a part of you, not something you can undo. But if anyone were to speak to you at length or get to know you deeply or walk into your home or watch you on an everyday basis, they would see that you're much more emotional and spiritual than they would have expected, and that you tend to operate more in those realms as opposed to the physical ones. Even though you can go clock in and clock out somewhere, in truth, you are much deeper and much more connected spiritually than they would have expected. Let's see what else is here. I feel like this reading in particular was very short and sweet in terms of what wanted to come through, but I do want to gather more and give it a little bit more time. Card pile 1's reading was long enough, but these cards tend to affirm the same thing every row as opposed to new information. So I'm seeing you or feeling or sensing you work with energy and visualization and the dream time and somatic work and things like that. I feel like you're doing more of that, and that's where you feel like, that's where you, again, that's your expertise, your specialty, where you glean confidence. You know, a lot of people tend to build up a lot of, or accumulate a lot of material wealth in this world and material resources, right? The degrees, the certifications, the programs, the courses, the classes, the mentors, the promotions, the pay raises, climbing up the corporate ladder, right? Those tend to be the things we see a lot of out there. But where you tend to find most meaning and where you tend to gain more confidence, or what is most of value to you, is more, again, in the emotional and the spiritual. So you're not going to be as inclined. I feel like you might be at times because you feel like you have to be, or that you feel like you have to follow along with the crowd or do it the way that everybody else does it. But I don't feel like it is actually or ultimately true for you. You might have done some courses and programs and stuff and maybe even wondered why they didn't really work that well for you or why it didn't hit the spot for you. But that's because that's just simply not what does it for you, right? Your sweet spot, again, is much more the emotional and the spiritual. You working with energy, processing energy, moving energy, processing emotion. I feel like each of you might have your own way of doing that. It feels like wherever you are on your path, you are well in it enough to know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm sharing about it. You know, this is a path you've matured on, and that's why people are surprised by it, because they're like, what? Like, no kidding, this is what you do in your off time? Okay, And people were like, I cannot believe it, because they had no idea. Again, the profound depth of your wisdom and the space that you hold, and just, where you truly are in your element or in the zone. But I feel like you glean more confidence, more power, more prowess from the emotional, the spiritual, and the energetic, as opposed to the physical. The physical things don't necessarily do it for you. It doesn't mean that you're aversive to that or averse to that, where it's like, oh, I'm not having anything to do with that. But it just feels like you get most of your satisfaction and fulfillment from this work, So It kind of gives me the energy of someone who has a cleaning business, but on the side they're a yoga instructor, and that they study, and that this is what they live and breathe and do, and that's their ultimate truth. Or someone who is a landlord and owns lots of different homes, and that's where their livelihood is, but on the side most of the time they are doing crystal healing sessions in a crystal healing bed. Again, we gave that example of like the soccer mom who goes home and is doing rituals and ceremonies and stuff with her sisters, or someone who has incredible herbal wisdom and no one would ever know it because, let's just say, at work you're a hostess or you're a cashier, but at home you have all these herbs sitting out, herbs that you've dried, herbs that are teas and becoming this or that, maybe even things that you sell on the side. But you have a gift here, and I feel like, yes, the reading is about what surprises people most, and there's this profound spiritual gift that they wouldn't have expected, but I feel like there is an opportunity here as well. And it isn't going to be the case for everybody because it doesn't feel huge, it doesn't feel like tons of momentum, but it's a gentle whisper of, this is something that could become more in the foreground. It doesn't have to be in the background of your life. It can be something that is more in the foreground, whether it means you make it a business, and or you're just more forthcoming about it, and or it's less surprising, meaning it's something you do carry on your sleeve and you walk around kind of being that and owning that no matter where you're at and who you're with. It is something that could be given more weight and more presentation. Like, you can bring it forward if you wanted to, but it can also be something that is safekeeping or safeguarded at your house, because we also have this energy of a home that is sacred. Let me show you the picture. So it's kind of the energy or the vibe of this reading. And I feel like it's a spirituality or a spiritual path that's all your own for many of you. So some of you might have studied different paths and might have worked, again, with different teachers and mentors and kind of done a few different things, even if you found later that it wasn't something you needed or truly valued, but it got you where you are today. But I feel like ultimately you found your own authentic path, and that you have something that is true to you. It doesn't necessarily have to line up with any kind of doctrine or teaching or something that's already out there. You found something that's authentic and true for you. Let me see if there's anything else that wants to come through for you. So we're talking to card pile 2, and we're asking what surprises people most about you. Your spiritual prowess, your profound emotional wisdom, your depth, all the different layers of you, what you bring to the table, the space that you hold, the sanctuary that is your home, just this beautiful, serene sanctuary that is your home. Someone who is truly connected and truly profoundly in touch with the interconnectedness of all things. We can call that God, Great Spirit, Cosmos, Universe, Mother Earth, Mother Nature. I feel like a lot of your life is a quiet life in a lot of ways. Like, even though you go out in the world and you have to do the things and clock in and clock out and have the conversations and have the interactions and get gas and all play these roles, your truth is really being at home in a quiet life that is easygoing, simple pleasures, close to the earth, that is really in contact with everyday living. Like, again, perhaps making your own food and herbs, and using herbs as medicine, and not having to go to the doctor maybe and use something more traditional. I just feel like you live a relatively quiet, solitudinal life in connection with earth, nature, spirit, God, Great Spirit, Cosmos, Universe. And even though you might present to the world as one thing or a certain role or an extrovert or whatever, that ultimately you have this incredible spiritual beingness inside of you that people might not have ever expected. And they walk into your house and they're like, holy cow, okay, like, this is what I'm getting into. All right, cool, So card pile 2, if this lands for you, if this resonates for you, I do want to hear your stories. Do share them in the comments. I invite you to like, subscribe, press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new reading pops up. If you want to get to know more about me, my work, feel free to check out the links below or visit erritygreen.com/shop, where you will find options for personal readings. Do check out my other YouTube channels linked below, Psychic True Crime and Wise Women Talk. And last but not least, I do have a newsletter now. You can sign up and stay in touch between readings. I'd love to hear from you, to be able to connect with you, and you can hear more from me there. Thank you, card pile 2. Okay, so card pile 3, what surprises people most about you? So right off the bat, it's this ability to go out there, take the leap, take the risk, do the thing, jump to the next level, act before thinking, You can find the good in anything. You can find the silver lining. Everything will be transmuted into gold. A great alchemist, someone who can take a really challenging situation, hardship, or experience and make it mean something, make it turn into something worthwhile, making it meaningful. Like it's almost this energy of someone who can heal from anything, who can do anything, who will find the good in anything, who can find gratitude in anything, and is truly someone that's an alchemist. And you wouldn't probably consider it that way, and neither probably would the person, but they are surprised by your resilience. They are surprised by your bounce back. They are surprised by your caliber of character. They are surprised by your strength and fortitude. They are surprised by your level of hope and optimism, but it's not the kind of ungrounded kind. It's the kind that like excavates the dirt and cultivates it, and so that it can become fertile soil for something to grow from it. It's someone, they are surprised by your ability to not only put your money where your mouth is, but make the best of everything, right? To make the most of it, to make the best of it, and to do your best no matter what. So it's very much what's coming up right off the bat. People really are surprised by, again, your resilience, your ability to fight back, to come back, to bounce back, to stand up again, to stand up for more. When you're chewed out and swallowed by life, you get back up, you dust your shoulders off, and you keep going. And that you use this for good. You're able to not only support yourself moving forward and become more well-resourced and well-equipped, you find a way to make it work for you. You find a way to make it purposeful. And you very well are probably very much in service to others in some way. Like you're able to take what you've learned and use that as a tool in your toolbox to not only help yourself, but help others. You're very much invested in personal growth and personal development. We could say even spiritual development, if that's something that's relevant for you, or emotional healing, if that's something that's relevant. But it's more about you're always growing from your experiences. You're always willing to try something new. You're always willing to grow as a person, and you're always willing to push the edges of your comfort zone and break through that and experience something on the other side of it. Again, resilience, going for it, turning straw into gold, finding the silver lining, making the most of it. People are really surprised by that. Let's see. Yeah, so people are really impressed by your ability, again, to take something that might be challenging or difficult or even harrowing. People are really shocked by your story, to be honest, like your survival story. So you might have been through a lot. You might have traversed a lot. You might have navigated a lot. You might have had significant challenges. It doesn't have to be over the course of your life. It could just be where you came from. It could just be, wow, they came from this kind of life or family or experience, and this is where they're at now, right? It could also be that you had a very difficult, challenging, traumatic childhood, and this is where you're at now. It could also be that you went through a series of really challenging relationships or even abusive relationships or traumatic experiences as a young adult or later on adult. And here you are now, and you're still sort of going. Not only are you still standing, you're growing and you're cultivating the soil and always working on sort of tending to this garden, tending to this garden, tending to this garden. It's like you're unstoppable. You're never going to let anything hold you down or back for too long. And you are going to make the most and best of every situation. And you'll be darned, you will always glean something, pull something, take something from a hard experience. You will not go down without a fight, and you will not go down in vain. Like you won't let your hardship or challenge be meaningless or purposeless. You will make sure it means something to you and that you're able to create something from it or out of it. And in many cases, or at least some cases, that's being of service to yourself, but also others. And again, even if it's not directly where you're taking something specific and giving it to someone specifically, it can be because you've grown and actualized a different part of you, new part of you, expanded in some way. You're now able to be of service in a bigger way than you might otherwise have been. Okay, so people are really impressed with your resilience and your bounce back, your ability to heal and not let things affect you so much. So it's like you almost have this shield about you to where you can go through extremely challenging situations, but they don't break you. And if they do break you, they don't break you for long. And again, it's like this resilient spirit that is untouchable, invincible, this core of you that even if everything else gets destroyed, that remains. And people are amazed by that. People are so surprised. They're surprised not only that you're still standing and still surviving, but that you actually have like beauty and joy in your life. People are like, wait, what? They went through all of this and they're still happy and they're still fulfilled and they still managed to create this life for themselves and they're living well. What? How does said person do such a thing, right? People are incredibly surprised by your ability to take something really terrible and create it into something beautiful. And even if it's not, again, a direct A to B correlation, like they took this and it turned into that, it can be something like a situation where you took A and then you were able to use that to grow something else, So it's like, if you lost a business, as an example, you decided to start again and create a new one, right? If you lost a relationship, you find a really fulfilling experience on your own. It doesn't have to be that, but it just means like you might use the foundation that was given to you, even if the other thing was taken away, and use that to build something new. But the point is, you never fall down, or you don't fall down for too long. You always get back up, and people are amazed by not only your ability to survive, but also find gratitude and find fulfillment and find love and find joy, not just in your hardships and thereafter, but in your experiences after. Meaning, like, people are like, wait, what? They're able to be happy after everything they've been through? Like, that's nuts, right? People can't believe it. Okay. Yeah. Again, people are incredibly amazed by your ability, your personal growth, your willingness to go there, your level of self-honesty, transparency, self-awareness, where you're willing to look at yourself and look boldly at yourself and honestly at yourself, to do the work that needs to be done, to make the changes that need to be made so that you can create a better life or a better experience for yourself. I also feel the energy in the event that it might be relevant for some of you. It's not, for some of you, not all of you, but for some of you, it feels relevant that it's not just about you. It's also making a better life for your family, for your children, for your pets, for your home, an extension of you in some way, where you are motivated, that you're not going to just let things fall apart and be destroyed and just sort of be strung out and oblivion for, until all of time, because you're like, I got stuff to do, right? And I want to make this world a better place for my children, or I want to make my home this way, or whatever. And so you're able to take something that that would swallow most people whole and kind of keep them there for a lifetime. That's not happening. You're going to fight the dragon, right? You're going to slay the demon. You're going to do the thing, and you're going to emerge victorious. People are incredibly surprised by that, if not impressed by that. And I feel like people inspired by it, like they would like to have that for themselves. They would like to have that same level of resilience, that same level of strength, power, fortitude, to keep going, to press on, to do the thing, to do what must be done, because they know that you will do that. And that's incredibly not only surprising, but impressive. Let's see what else is here. Yeah, people are impressed, like Queen of Swords energy from the tarot. People are impressed at your ability to cut out what is not working for you. You're not going to play games. You're not going to go along with BS. You're not going to keep stragglers around, or hoodlums, or whatever one, I don't even know, but you're just not going to keep people around that are leeches or parasites, or who don't serve you or aren't good to you. You're not going to keep people around, or even people, places, or things for too long that don't honor you or see your value or support your vision. You're not letting anyone stick around to ride on your coattails. There's just no BS. You're not too overly attached to any one thing in a way that would eventually dishonor you or harm you, and or dishonor your path and your vision and what you're trying to create. I feel like you'll give everyone a chance, and you're not like too quick to cut people off, but you are very discerning and very cutting when need, honest with yourself and with other people. And no one's flying by with any BS in this situation. Again, you're not too overly attached to any one thing. So when things do go, or do crumble, or do fall, it usually doesn't destroy you. And if it has, again, it will, even if it does bring you to your knees, you will walk again, you will stand again. You know this about yourself. And sometimes you have to find it in yourself again. It doesn't mean that you're totally untouchable, like you are human. And yet people from the outside, though, they're surprised that they always get back up. They always get back up. They always get back up. And not only do they just get back up, they're not just surviving. This person is thriving. What? Or at least moving toward that. But people are incredibly impressed and surprised by your boundaries and by your honoring of yourself and your demand for something bigger, greater, more fulfilling, more satisfying. Like, you aren't the person who's going to settle. You aren't the person who's going to settle for less. You aren't the person who's going to take no for an answer. And if a person, place, or thing or energy cannot meet the standard, they are out of here. Okay. So people are really surprised by that, wow, like, she's not holding on to anything too tight. If it's gotta go, it's gotta go. This person's on a mission for real. Like, they're on a mission, and ain't nobody stopping them. All right. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Not doing it. It's like that whole saying, ain't nobody got time for that. And that's how discerning you are. Again, that Queen of Swords energy that is able to come out. when and if, but this overall energy of this optimism, this hope, this willingness to keep going, this willingness to try again, this willingness to believe that there's something greater and better, this willingness to believe in a higher power, this willingness to keep going and to try again and to try again and to stand up and to so on and so forth. It's like this beautiful, it's a grounded optimism though. It doesn't feel like abstract. It's like this beautiful, it's like a willingness, really. But people are surprised by, okay, they're going to go at it again. They're going to try it again. They're not going to, nothing can stop them, right? Literally nothing can stop them. No person, place, or thing, no event, no calamity, no hardship. This person is die hard, and they're going to use this as soil to grow, as fertile soil to grow, and they're going to use it to their benefit, right? And nothing's going to hold them down. So let's see if there's anything else that wants to come through. Also, again, they're just totally enamored by, enchanted by the amount of beauty and love and grace and wisdom that you're able to display and experience in your life despite your hardships. I think people have seen what you've been through. They've seen what you've walked through, and they're like, how in the world are they happy? Because I know I would not be happy. So people are really surprised by your beauty, but even your depth, because I feel like many of you are honest about what you've been through, and you carry your heart on your sleeve, and people know the pain that you have and the pain that you carry and the challenges that you've walked through and that you've been forged by fire. People know this, and they actually find that beautiful about you. They find it so beautiful that you can walk around sort of reckless, but also so all of these things that we've been talking about. People are like, what? How is this person basically walking around a bleeding heart, but also all of these other things, who will always stand and do the thing and say the thing and end it and start it over and do what's required and do what they must do time and time and time again, to persevere, to rise above, to become all that they can be, and to create what they said they would, and so on and so forth. People are truly amazed and surprised by you in that way. So card pile 3, that is your reading. If this lands and resonates for you, I encourage you to like, subscribe, do press the bell icon. I'd love to hear from you. The bell icon will make sure you get notifications every single time a new reading pops up. If you want to get to know more about me, my work, personal readings, visit erritygreen.com/shop. You can also check out the links below for my 2 other YouTube channels, Psychic True Crime, Wise Women Television. Join the communities over there and do sign up for the newsletter. I'd love to see you and be able to connect with you in between readings every week. Thank you, card pile 3.